I take the comic part.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards. Welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. And we got a full screen today. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're listening on Omni Studio, iTunes, or Spotify, what up? You know, leave a comment and rate the pod. We're going to talk about Spurs. You know, Martin is a Spurs fan and a comic and an actor, and his team is top of the table. And it's Spurs time of the year. This is when they thrive before they fall off. So Martin gets to this is like early Christmas for Martin. The end of the season don't count for Spurs. Like where they start the season and where they end up, you know, is two completely different places. So while he's in a happy space and happy place, we want to celebrate Spurs because probably after the international break, they're going to nosedive like the Third Reich. Also, we got Brett Riley, stand-up comic, but he's in England right now. He's American, but he's in England. He's smart. He's a United fan, and he was at that amazing game where Scott McTominay saved Eric Ten Hag's job and scored 2 goals. So I want to hear from him how that was. And then we got Lee Hudson, stand-up comic from England, Southampton fan. He abandoned Southampton on his birthday week and went to Holland, did some shows, and checked out 3 games, 2 in one day and 1 in one day. And one of them was an Ajax game. So we're going to hear about that. And we're going to talk about the Man United ownership. I got something to say about that. And maybe Neil Chakravarty will join us. But what's up, guys? How y'all feeling?
Hey.
Long weekend.
Feeling positive. Yeah.
Feeling positive. Trying to think who should go first. Let's do Lee first because he said it was a long weekend because you just got back from your trip. So tell us about this trip, bro.
Yeah, it was good. I went over to the Netherlands. I did 1 show in Rotterdam, and then I did 5 spots plus a solo show in Amsterdam, and 3 live football games as well. So I didn't stop when I was out there. It was a good trip though. The shows were fun. Doing like my hour out there was good fun. And then the games, because the Saturday I had no shows, so I got in a rental car. I drove to game number 1, which was Heerenveen versus NEC, which was an interesting game. Nice stadium as well. Really nice setup at Heerenveen. The stadium's really sort of cool and welcoming for fans. They got like inside the stadium, there's like foosball and like FIFA and stuff that the fans can play before the game. So that was quite cool. The game was okay. That one finished 1-1. NEC have got some like experienced players, even though they're a small team with a small budget. They had the Dutch forward Bas Dost up front, who used to play for Sporting Lisbon in the Champions League and Wolfsburg, and he scored their goal. And they had Lasse Schöne, who used to play for Ajax and he played for them in their famous win at the Bernabeu the year when they had that big Champions League run. So that was an interesting game. I literally ran at the whistle from that game to my car and then drove an hour and a half south to Arnhem to watch Vitesse against Excelsior Rotterdam. That game was
how much time between each game?
The first game was 4:30. So that one finished at about 6:20. I then had an hour and a half drive. I got to Arnhem just after 8 o'clock with some traffic. And the next game was 9 p.m. So I got in time for that one. But that game was a dud. Vitesse Arnhem versus Excelsior finished 0-0. The Vitesse fans were hating their team. I was sitting sort of a few rows up from like the disabled supporter section, and there was this young girl who had like a tubes in her nose, like an oxygen tank thing. And at one point, she was so mad at the team.
Careful where you're going with this.
No, at one point, she was so mad at the team that she ripped the oxygen tubes out and just threw them on the floor in disgust. I was like, she must be really frustrated about watching this team because she's like, this is worse than having no oxygen, this team. It's
she's like, I'd rather not breathe than watch this.
Yeah. So yeah, their fans weren't too happy. They watched a drab 0-0. And then I drove back to Amsterdam after that, and then the next day went to Ajax versus AZ, which is it's a rivalry game as well, that one, because AZ are from. I mean, most games in the Netherlands are rivalries because it's a small country. Everywhere's within 2 hours of each other. But Alkmaar is about 45 minutes to an hour from Amsterdam, and they've always been teams that are usually at the top of the league, whereas Ajax this year are not at the top of the league. Obviously, like Ten Hag left and went to United. Anthony went to United. Kudus went to West Ham. They've lost other players as well, like in the last couple of years. Like a couple of years ago, like Tadic left and Blint left. They've just been losing players, like Alvarez went to West Ham this summer as well. They've just been losing lots of players, and they've not replaced them. They've got academy kids that aren't as good as the previous academy kids, and they've signed players who aren't as good as the ones that left. So
yeah, and
teams,
they lost their front office because Overmars got into trouble, and his
Van der Sar left as well.
And did he get sick and then leave, or did he leave and then get sick?
He left. He left to take a break, and then he got sick after. But he's back healthy now, which is good. But just this week, they appointed Louis van Gaal to the board as like a sort of special advisor. And he came out. He didn't come onto the pitch, but like as he was coming out to his seat, they put him up on the big screen, and that was probably the most their fans cheered all day, because they were bad in the game. They were 2-0 down. They were 1-0 down at halftime. Then they went 2-0 down straight away in the second half, and fans were booing, and there was a lot of negativity around the place. They pulled 1 goal back, but I mean, AZ could have had another 4 goals. They missed a bunch of chances. Ajax got thoroughly beaten in this game, and yeah, there's lots of boos at the end. The fans were pretty negative.
What was the score of the game?
Just 2-1 to AZ, but they controlled it. The Ajax goal was a consolation, really. So yeah, it just wasn't a good environment to be for the fans. Like I say, a lot of negativity, but they didn't fight the police this time, and they didn't smash up the stadium this time. So it's an improvement on the last home game.
So it's good to hear that the Ajax fans are learning to lose with more grace now after last week. So that's cool.
I mean, with the team they've got at the moment, they're going to have to get used to it because they're just not good. Who else? I'm trying to think who else they've lost. Gravenberch went to Bayern and then to Liverpool. So that's another one who went out the door. They've just lost so many players, and like I say, the new guys are not good. Timber to Arsenal as well, just hemorrhaging
just so he could get injured.
Players.
Yeah, he went to Arsenal. Now he's injured. He's not even playing. It's like I think he's out for most of the season too.
Yeah, it's not a good one. Not a good one for him, but. Yeah, it was a cool experience though to go there and to see that stadium. I've done on like a previous visit to Amsterdam. They weren't playing, so I just did like a stadium tour. So it's cool to actually see a game there this time and experience that.
Did you see anybody like in the crowd, like in the Jamaica, the Bob Marley kits?
Oh yeah. There was a bunch of people wearing those, even though it's from like a couple of seasons ago. They're still pretty popular. Yeah, lots of fans with those on.
And when you're going to surprise me with mine, you're going to do it after the pod, or you're going to like do it now? You want to do it now? You're just going to mail it? Like, how are you doing this, man?
I mean, I mailed it. It must be over the ocean somewhere.
All right, cool. That's pretty dope, though. I've gone to Holland to perform, but I've never seen any games. And I think it's pretty ballsy to drive in another country. Like I wouldn't even drive in England, and I was born there. Yeah, so I've done it.
I've done it a bunch. I've driven all across Europe before, and in the States, so I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Yeah, I'm not.
And what's the environment like between an Eredivisie game and a Premier League game?
You can drink the Eredivisie games out in the stands. You can like buy your beer and take it outside. Obviously, I'm sure you saw you can't do that in the Premier League. You have to stay inside. You're not allowed to drink outdoors. So you could do that. That was they've got like standing, like they're trying to put it in the Premier League now, but there was more standing areas in the Eredivisie games as well. And yeah, the the atmosphere was pretty good at most of them.
And I was going to ask Brett, you went to see Man United play, right? So tell us, well, he doesn't want to do it anymore? You there? Did he move on your
Sorry, boys, I'm
screen
losing
too,
that.
or just mine? All right. So
Am I
first of
back?
all,
Can you guys hear me
everybody,
now?
Brett is here. We can hear you. We could barely see you. It's almost like you're doing this witness protection style. I just want you to know that United won, so you could show your face. You don't have to hide. But
You sure
that's
he's
great,
you sure
man.
he's in
Working on it.
London? He looks like he's in Toronto on the Wi-Fi that you were on last week, Ian.
No, he's using hostile Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he's in a
Yeah,
hostel.
I think we're doing a human centipede event after this.
a human what?
Human centipede.
No. Well, it's nice knowing you. Just get this done, and they could do whatever they want to you afterwards. So just tell us about the experience, like, because you told me like you were going to go to the game and you was going to England. You were hoping to get tickets. Did you have tickets before, or did you get them there?
I got them beforehand. I like bought the United membership so I could buy them straight from the club and not have to worry about all that. And so I got tickets in the East Stand, which was right on the side where Onana let in that goal in the first half. But before that, I had met this guy who owned a pub, and he was like, "Oh yeah, come. We've been season ticket holders for like 20 years. Come have a couple pints with us before the match." So I'm at a table with a bunch of geezers, and everybody's, gets the alert on their phone when the starting lineup comes out, and we look at Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans and Victor Lindelof at right back when we all said, "Oh God, this is not." It's like first match from America. It's like they knew I was coming. So we did that, and then
what a depressing looking like back four to like that morning when I don't know how they get the lineups out there, what they look like, but there's the lineup on Google for the Premier League, and they'll tell you the right people, but they'll give you the wrong formation. And then even on NBC out here, who pay for the Premier League, they gave us the right lineup, but even they had a different formation from Google, but it was still the wrong formation. So you don't know what the real formation is until the game is about to start and you see them at the kickoff. But it's like the team, is that a thing where the teams give, you used to know in advance, but now is this standard for even the broadcasters to not even know?
Because I forget which app they were using, whether it was Sky or something else, but they had everybody in the right position.
Oh, okay.
At least at the beginning. And again, Bruno Fernandes playing on the right, which I hate to like. It's just out of position for him. He needs to be playing centrally.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, everybody was like, happy to have you. Don't expect much today. It's, we're just going to try to do as best we can. And of course, it was, a little somber because Sir Alex Ferguson's wife just passed away. So there was a lot of emotions about that as well. So we went there, had a few pints, got to the stadium. I sit down. Guy next to me is also at his first match. And we're just crossing our fingers the whole time. But of course, Onana lets in that early goal. And we said, and they basically had our heads buried in our hands for the next 60 odd minutes until we got to the 80th minute. And, Casemiro comes off at halftime. He did nothing but make some stupid fouls. Eriksen came in, provided a little relief. That second half was a lot better, but again, just a lot of possession, but no creativity, nothing going on. My boy Marcus Rashford was nowhere to be seen. From what I was talking to people about.
Can I just jump in about the Marcus Rashford thing? The funny thing is on the TV out here, and even the commentators here were saying how good Rashford was playing. And I was kind of agreeing with them because he was like at least passing the ball in and kind of getting it in and making some moves down the left side. But I felt like at the grounds, and especially after the game, that nobody appreciated anything that Rashford did. But when they were going to sub him out, the broadcasters on our TV, the people calling the game were like, "Oh man, I can't believe they're taking Rashford out." So it's funny. Is that because everybody's just turned off on Rashford so that they couldn't even see that he was having a decent game or one of the best games of the United players on the pitch?
I think it might be less to do with Rashford and more to do with their love of Garnacho, because Garnacho was warming up in the first half and the whole stadium started singing his name. And, you know, Rashford had that, he had our only, I think it was our only attempt on target in the first half. But in the second half, before he got subbed off, he was on the opposite end, you know, not really on screen, but hands on his knees. Like, it seemed like he ran out of gas. Because despite us having a lot of possession, he really didn't do much there. And I was talking to somebody afterwards, and they say I think he's going out and partying too much. I can't speak to that. I don't know if it's true, but they seem to believe that. Yeah. Then McTominay comes on. We get the goal VAR'd off in the 87th minute. So that was my first VAR experience in person where the crowd goes nuts.
Shit.
We all scream. I think you can hear my voice is still a little hoarse. But yeah, and then it goes to VAR. You got to hear that VAR review in process, which is a death knell. And then sure enough, Garnacho, who came on, was lively, plays that ball in. McTominay brings it down, and we all just go nuts. You know, it's one of those moments where you start hugging people you've never met before in your life, just taking just euphoria. And then we're, you know, just looking up to the guy. It's like, please, something, anybody. And sure enough, Harry Maguire, who, to his credit, I thought played a pretty decent game.
I agree with you.
He held solid in the back there, made a few nice plays, didn't score an own goal, which counts for something for him. Crowd never, you know, was behind him the whole time. Plays that all important header to McTominay, and it was just it's hard for me to believe that it was real and I was there, to be honest. Like, it still hasn't fully sunk in what I saw.
I feel you. I saw replay after replay, and we haven't had like a moment like that as United, like an old school United moment like that in a minute. So it's definitely a throwback United moment.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I did it, but I am saying that I did tap my watch before those goals went in. So I did the Fergie time and got him to help us out.
But that must be incredible, man. Like, because I never thought of like what somebody's first VAR experience at a Premier League game would be like. So that's like, yeah, that's something like, you know, I'm so used to just watching it on TV, and it's just a part of like the game now, whether the result is good or bad. Whether it's to go there and United have had some VAR experiences this year, and most of them haven't gone our way, and a lot of them have been at the end of games, and it's like you walk out depressed. So you did experience one that didn't go for us, and you went and you experienced two that did like keep our goals on the board. So that must have been dope, man. How was everybody like?
It was, but what's difficult about the VAR at Old Trafford is that stadium's so old, they don't have a screen. They have like a couple little scoreboards, but there's no screen showing the replay. So we're all kind of in the stands, just shaking our heads, wondering what's going on. It's like when you watch it at home.
Then they're not allowed to show it.
Oh, okay.
The screen just comes up with saying like decision pending kind of thing. It's been the same when I've been at games. Like literally, like it almost like falls into a hush, and everyone starts like talking to the people around them. Like, do you think it was? I think it was. It's kind of it's kind of weird, isn't it? For like a minute or so while they do that check, it's sort of the atmosphere just sort of completely goes, and then obviously,
Why
elation or
why are they not
disappointment either
allowed to
way.
show it? Why are they not
They just don't
allowed to
want.
show it?
They just want the referee looking at it. They don't want to like be influenced by like, I don't know, or if the fans would kick off if it was given the wrong way. I don't know, but they don't let people look at it. That's why it just comes up with that sort of pink and purple sign on the screen saying, decision pending, checking handball or checking offside or checking whatever.
All right, that's pretty dope. I just want to say some stuff on the game, and then Martin, we're going to get to your Spurs situation.
I want to get to Man U too.
You want to get to Man U too? Well, let me just say something about Man U. Like, I've been thinking about Man U a lot, and I'm thinking about how, and I've brought this up a bunch of times, and sometimes it matters, and sometimes it doesn't matter as much as like some of the games, but the ownership of Man U and the lack of a sale does matter a lot. Because I'm trying to figure out, like, why aren't our players playing like they played last season? You know what I mean? And the lack of the sale has definitely affected their mentality. Because I'm thinking about when Newcastle sold, right? And all the Newcastle fans were dancing in the street, like singing in the rain, like it was the greatest moment in their history. Like they got some rich owners and they knew that those owners had money and that they could buy a brand new team that would compete. And so did not just the fans know that, but their players knew that. So their players, who none of us would consider top tier players or Champions League players, they didn't want to get like sold or transferred and not experience like this financial prosperity at Newcastle. So all of the players at Newcastle took their game up another like 20 to 30%. And Newcastle, yeah, they've spent some money, but not as much money as we would have thought they would have had to spend. Like, yes, Eddie Howe has done a great job, but I think he's also benefiting from players knowing that if they don't work harder, they will be sold and other players being bought and to replace them. I think it has motivated like a lot of individual players who aren't that good into being way better players. So I think Eddie Howe has that to his advantage. And I feel like United not getting sold has kind of like relaxed people. Like if we get sold, some of the players that are not running around on the pitch and delivering as much as they could, like we got players that know we can't afford to buy players to replace them. Like we had to get Amrabat on loan. You know what I mean? Like somebody that we really needed. So it's like, why would you play? Like, how are you going to replace me? You're going to use a kid from the academy who you don't trust or nothing. And that's the difference between like the Saudis buying us and no sale. It's like there are a lot of comfortable people who would be playing better if they knew that their jobs were in jeopardy. Like everybody at Newcastle plays like they just run, man. They play like it's their last game. Like I don't like Mason Mount, not because I don't like Mason Mount, but Mason Mount came to us going, I'm a Champions League winner. And he hasn't like run as much as he could. But if he knew we had new owners that could be like, you only cost 50 mil, we won't keep you, he would play as good as he did play at Chelsea. Because I feel like he's kind of like, oh, I just got this upgrade from Chelsea, but I don't have to do anything. I think he's in kind of that mode. Excuse me if I'm wrong, but that's why it's very important for Manchester United to get a sale. And as far as this game, we won. I'm happy, but we were losing so long. Even though we won, it still feels like we still lost. The way we won is not a formula for winning. Like I got a text from Ten Hag saying, warm up, I'm bringing you on next. Like, that's how many people he was bringing on that pitch. He took, was anybody left on the bench, Brett, when you were there?
Just the backup goalkeepers.
Yeah, I've
Onana's
never
the only one who
seen,
stayed in.
yeah, I've never seen a team play everyone that was warming up. Like, that's how desperate
Yeah.
we were. Like, it put everybody in. Like normally you warm people up to threaten the guys on the pitch. Like, he was like, everybody, you warm up, get in there. So that's not a formula, but I am glad that he won because it helps him keep his job. We got 2 weeks, however long the international break is, and that will kind of give us more time for other injured players to get healthy, because you can't start a defense like that. We got 2 World Cup winners that weren't in our starting defense. And we had the only starter who's not really a starter, because if Wan-Bissaka's healthy, the lot ain't starting. So let's say he's a starter. He still started on the left. And then Lindelof, who's a backup center back, played right back. So we're lucky. I don't know how Wissa and Mbuemo, with all their speed, didn't burn us.
Boomo, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still shocked. I'm still shocked. So
yeah,
but we won. It's good to get the 3 points going into the international break. Hopefully, Mainu will get healthy, and Ahmad and whoever else is healthy. And I also watched the first episode of the Beckham documentary. And even though Alex Ferguson won in his first, he won that season when he won, and they won the league, and they hadn't won in 25 years. One thing he said is like, I want to play kids because they keep running forever. That's what he said.
Yeah.
They run forever. And I've been thinking that, I've been seeing it when Ten Hag plays them, but then he stops playing them. Like, Hannibal has the best running stats of any Man U player in 4 years. Play him, bro. Because he doesn't always make the right passes, but the more he plays, the more confidence he'll get, and he'll add the right passes to the running, and there'll be no player better than him. And that goes for like Gore when he goes in the game. He runs. And what we've been lacking is running. You ain't winning with the people who ain't running, who have experience. So you might as well play the kids who will run and give them the experience, because you have a better chance of winning in the future than even now. So that's my tirade.
And I think to your point, with Eric Ten Hag banishing or exiling, however you want to say it, Jadon Sancho, not even allowed at Carrington, not just training by himself, but just not allowed. He's trying to establish that culture, but to the ownership, I don't think the Glazers and John Murtaugh, director of football, I don't think he really knows what he's doing either. Because I talked to some Brentford fans as well, and that's like a well-run club. Just like at Newcastle, or at Brighton as well. Everybody's bought into the system, but I think Eric Ten Hag is trying to make his system. The Glazers have theirs. John Murtaugh has his. So I just don't think there's cohesion there. And if we could get that, hopefully with new owners, so I wore the scarf on match day. Hopefully we can get there, but until then, we just gotta.
The last rumor I saw was that Radcliffe was going to buy in, but it would be like not even a controlling stake though. He was going to buy like a minority stake.
That just makes everything worse. I don't even want that. But I'm gonna let Martin talk about Man U, because he's got to go in a few, and then Martin talk about Man U, and then let's talk about Spurs. Sorry, Lee.
So I'm gonna say 5 things about Man U. First of all, it's been a disastrous football for Man U this season, and this. But the way you won this game might give you some players a little bit of confidence. That for me, the Sancho situation is really the biggest poison in the team, because he seems to be a well-liked guy, and the fact that he's completely pushed out, and he is being bullied by the manager. And then before the manager was fighting with one of the greatest players in the history of the club, and now he's he picked on someone of a smaller size. That's not great. I was kind of hoping that Ten Hag will be watching Lee's stand up in Amsterdam last weekend, but somehow he kept the job, and he might keep the job for a little bit longer. But I don't think he's a good solution for Man U. I mean, for me, he's great. I hope he will stay for the next 40 years. But for Man U, I think he's really bad manager, and he needs to be replaced ASAP by someone who could be more inspirational figure. Someone who will really have players on their side, because what's going with Rashford is unbelievable. I mean, I haven't seen such a drop. It seems like he's completely not interested in playing it for Man U anymore. I mean, almost like uninspired, and I don't see any inspiration in the team. I mean, McTominay, who was pushed out of the starting lineup, his anger when he scored his goal, it was more anger than happiness, I would say, what I saw from McTominay, because he has to prove himself all the time. So yeah, definitely I'm seeing a lot of cracks, and it needs to be bridged over. But I don't think this manager can do it. I think you guys need a better manager, someone who will put things in perspective and get to the next level with this team, because it will be coasting with Ten Hag. So that's the one thing. Second thing is this. Yeah, this is the selection. I don't see any clue in where this team is supposed to go in terms of selection of players. And
what do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
It's too chaotic. There is no thought behind it. I don't see any consistent idea.
But did you hear us just talk about the injuries, and like we started a back four that doesn't start. We started a back four that doesn't start for the team.
I'm talking about the midfield. The defense, yeah, you can.
But you need a good defense, right? We spoke about this on the phone.
The injuries are problems.
A good defense, right? Would have got us at least 6 more points, which would have changed anything, because then it stops like goals where we lost matches like by 1 or by 2. Like, defense is important, right? So if you're ending games with Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans, or starting games with Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans, like, what are the odds that, and sometimes it ain't even Harry Maguire there. Like, what are the odds of you winning?
Yeah, I mean, Maguire is a little bit scrutinized too much, I would say. He's not that bad of a player, and he had some good ones. He even had an assist. So, yeah, they wouldn't go. So I don't think he's the problem. The system is the problem. The manager is the problem. Yeah, the ownership, sure. They can be, there needs to be a decision.
I love that. I love that the manager's the problem when he won more trophies in one season than the last 9 Spurs managers.
Martin, your feed is messing up.
Yeah, you're underwater.
Can you see me?
Yeah, now you sound better. Yeah. Okay. Why don't you sit up like the Spurs are at the top of the table, and so that we can hear what the hell you're saying.
I'm just relaxing like the Spurs at the top of the table.
That's the problem. That's how you're gonna slide down it.
Well, but we might. Listen, we're ahead of the schedule. That's for sure. You want me to talk about Spurs now?
Yeah, man. Get it. Enjoy.
Is probably the wrong word, but
the best start in the Premier League history. The best start since 1961 when we won the title. Very, very encouraging. I think with the way we play and what we built and the camaraderie we have, I think the top 6 finish is very realistic now. I was afraid it's going to be more like 7th, 8th spot before the season, but now I think we can finish top 6 and maybe even top 4 if we can maintain players healthy, because we are not very deep as a team. We are definitely will be missing. I don't know for how long he's out. Johnson, that made a very good impression in his first couple of games for Tottenham. The guy we bought from Nottingham, I think. Yeah, I think he's a very talented player. I think he's a very, very good buy. Same with some other players we bought. I think we bought very well and under the radar. Van de Ven, who scored the winning goal at Luton, another buy under the radar, and Pedro Porro, another amazing buy under the radar. So I think we're good. Are we good enough to finish top 4? Maybe. We'll see. It depends also on other teams. You know, if Ten Hag stays at United, I'm more confident we'll finish top 4. If Chelsea keeps messing up, I'm a little bit more confident. I would say Liverpool is probably the best team this season so far in the league. They were very unlucky against us that we beat them, but we beat them. Same with Luton, you know. We beat them playing 10 against 11 and we being 0-0, 10 against 11. Yeah. We scored a goal and we beat them. We've won games in a lot of different ways, and that's very encouraging because like the game against Luton, first 15 minutes, we had 5 amazing chances, and we should have scored. And then we go down. By the way, I don't think that's the second yellow. I don't know.
Martin, hold your computer up. Like sit up, because
I think it was a very harsh double second yellow for Bissouma. I think it's almost like a referee tried to say, okay, we made a mistake that helped you guys against.
No, Liverpool. He dived.
Yeah, it was a huge dive. That's a sending off.
Diving.
If you're on a booking and you do that, that's a red. Like it's like diving's a yellow, and there was no contact. He just threw himself through 2 players.
It was straight cheating. He's the reason. Like, listen, cheating like that is why referees have a hard time. That's why we need VAR, because players are not honest. Like a lot of people blame stuff on refs. But that ref got that right. Like, I like Bissouma. I like Ange. Like, I'm not mad at Spurs being good this season. But you can't dive, bro. And you're lucky you still won.
Like a dive for a penalty, even, you know. It's not. Maybe he just.
That makes it dumber.
He was lightheaded.
That makes it dumber.
He was lightheaded, you know. Maybe he ate too much. He had too much coffee before the game, and he was a little lightheaded and he looked balanced.
Oh,
I got something I want to put to Martin on Spurs for a moment.
Martin, hold the computer up straight. Sit up straight, because for some reason when you don't, it's the voice, the audio is wonky.
Okay.
So let's put the Spurs position into perspective. They've won 6 games so far this season. 4 of those games have been against the bottom 4 teams: Sheffield United, Burnley, Luton, and Bournemouth. So they've beaten 3 of the teams that came up, who are all terrible. They've beaten Bournemouth, who aren't good this season. They beat Liverpool in a game where they should have been a goal down, but the refs fucked up on a monumental level never seen before. And then they beat United, who, according to Martin, are the worst team on the planet. So they haven't really won a game that is impressive at all this season.
Cool.
And that's why it's a completely false position, same as every year. And I've said it last season, I said it the season before, and the season before that. Tottenham are the premature ejaculators of the Premier League. They blow their load early, and then they're useless.
I said I'm confident about top 6. Nobody's ejaculating, and we're listening. We've won games, parents, you know, in playing good football, and nobody expected us to win those games against United and Liverpool. And you can always make an argument that something was lucky or the referee. That's football, you know. Like, there's not a team except of maybe the couple of teams in the recent history of football, like Barcelona with Messi and Neymar and Suarez, that win every game, and they're, you know, by a class or 2 classes better than anybody else, you know. That's how you win games. Sometimes you scrap wins. You know, I'm sure you would take it last season for Southampton to win games like that. You know, it's just the way it works. No, the way it works. You know, what matters at the end of the day, you know, if you win 6 out of 8, it's not an accident. If you win 6 out of 8, will that continue? I don't know. It might not. It may not. We'll see. You know, but I expected us to be in this position, so I'll take it as a plus, as a really nice surprise. And I was listening to other people talking about Tottenham, and they're praising good organization. They're praising the team spirit, you know, the fighting spirit that we have. And listen, we're not the most talented squad in the Premier League. We're probably like 6th, 7th most talented squad in the Premier League. But those players are growing together, making progress. Maddison became a starter for England. Nobody was thinking of him as a starter for England when he was playing for Leicester. And he made a huge impression in those first 2 months of the season. And I think it was a fantastic buy. I think both Chelsea and Man U are kicking themselves for not buying Maddison now. They're kicking themselves. 40 million. That's it. 40 mil. That's less than anybody Chelsea paid for. Anybody.
Let me kind of back Martin up a little bit. Number one, Lee, I don't think Spurs are premature ejaculating. I just think they're edging. They will nut fast at some point, but at a further point than they normally would have in any regular season. And the bad thing about what you said, Lee, is that you were right about Manchester United, and I can't even fight you on it. And that's terrible for me. Not more terrible for me than it is for the positive result that Spurs got. But also, just the last thing in Martin's defense is, you play who's in front of you, and the style of play that they play and the way they defend has also, besides the luck and the caliber of teams they played, have got them those points. So just in the totality, overallness of football, they deserve to be where they're at, despite the luck, because there's always luck working against you. That will happen if you don't play the way Spurs play, which is possession-based football and on the front foot. So yeah, they earned it. I got to give it to them. But I
have got a compliment to give to Spurs as well.
All right.
Which is that it's impressive that they've got these results despite having the worst forward in the Premier League in Richarlison. Because some of the chances, that's why I said forward. He's not. I didn't say centre forward. The forward. He's a forward now because they've realised that he's so bad he can't play through the middle, which is where he should be playing. Is where he's played all his whole career. And then some of the chances he missed against Luton were scandalous. And then some of the chances he's been missing in the other games, he shouldn't be anywhere near that team. He's a terrible person and a terrible player.
Why do you think he's a terrible player?
He kind of won one game for us, and that was an important game because we couldn't score for we had 27 shots.
He couldn't miss that chance though.
Yeah.
I mean, he did against Luton, but
yeah, against Luton he was very poor, and I think if Johnson was healthy, he would have played that position for us. And I think same with Manor. With Manor was the thing because he's an Israeli. Maybe that was because of what happened in Israel. I'm not sure, why he didn't play. But yeah, I mean, we had bad luck in our first game against Brentford. We should have won that game. So it's not always that we're lucky, but we'll see how it goes. We have some winnable games now. Hopefully we'll win them. Against Fulham at home is the next one. Then it will be a big game, I think, against City and the Chelsea. There'll be two tough games. And listen, we'll see. If we can finish top 4, amazing. If we can finish top 6, still a good season, and build the team moving forward. Because I like how we're building the team now with this manager.
I like how you're building a team, and I'm mad that I like how you're building a team. But we'll see what happens. So I have a general question for everybody, but this also involves Martin Spurs' nemesis, Arsenal. What was the most kick-on game of the weekend? Was it Arsenal beating City, or was it United winning in the last minute to save Ten Hag's job? What team had the most kick-on game, the game that will redefine or change their season the most? Which one of those games do you guys think it was?
I would say United, because I think if you'd have lost that game, with the run you were on, that it would have got really toxic. It would have, the pressure would have been building and building and building. And I think that win sort of relieves it a little bit. Whereas if Arsenal lose to City, obviously they're disappointed, but they can just go, oh, well, it was City. We're not quite there yet. So I think that, it would have been no great emergency or panic at Arsenal if they lost to that game to City. Whereas I think if you'd have lost to Brentford at home, I think that whole atmosphere of negativity just grows. And there's still bits of it there, even though you won. Onana's still coming in for a lot of criticism in the press, which I think is fair because, I mean, he's playing in goal like a piece of Swiss cheese this season. There's just you can shoot at him and it's going in. He's, getting lobbed from 10 yards, which shouldn't happen in some games. Like he's just like he's an amazing goalkeeper with the ball at his feet, but he's not being a goalkeeper, which is that's job number one.
Lee, I agree because, you know, Arsenal had that fantastic run last season and then fell apart towards the end. So I don't think their test to be a top team is right now. I think it's can they last the marathon of a Premier League, Champions League season. So you're right. They could have lost to City and bounced back. Whereas if United lose to Brentford, 3 home losses for the first time in 30 some odd years, you know, we sack the manager, then we do the whole Ralph Rangnick interim manager. There's a complete saga of who's going to be the man. Like, no, I think there might be, I don't know if there was coming back from that.
I disagree.
And what do you think, Martin?
I disagree.
Go
First
ahead,
of all, I don't consider Man U a top team, and that therefore, at this moment, as a matter of fact, the fact that you didn't lose that game and you didn't fire Ten Hag would be bad long term, because if you did and you fired Ten Hag and replaced him with a better manager, you would see results faster. Now you will be kind of swimming in mediocrity for a while with Ten Hag, who has no vision for this team to move forward. Of course, Arsenal, that was psychologically huge because they want to win title. Like last year, it was a surprising run. Like last year, we are the Arsenal from last year right now. After 8
down.
We are the Arsenal of last year. We are like the surprising package that nobody took seriously, and we're on that kind of a run. Except that I don't think we're as good as a team as Arsenal was last year. So I think for Arsenal, this season is about winning the title. I think they're one of the favorites. They spend a lot of money for Declan Rice, a lot of money. Like that's very unusual how much money they spend on a player for that particular reason, to win the title. And so this was a game between 2 out of 3 main favorites, probably the only favorites to win the title this year, because the third is Liverpool. I think those 3 teams are the favorites to win the title, and that was the clash between 2 favorites. And I think Arsenal, because they won this game, they're in pole position. Because, like I said before, I think we're overachievers. I think Arsenal are in the top position now to win the title, both from the table perspective, but also from the perspective of the fact that they beat the team that is. It's like in boxing, you have to beat the champ to become a champ, and I think they beat the team they had psychological edge over them, but now it's taken back.
So my take on it is, I agree with Martin, and because when you're at this end of the table, like there's 2 teams that we're talking about are at a certain end of the table. That's what they finished last year, was from in between 1st and 4th, and so then where you want to go from that is to win the title. It's the biggest thing you could do. Like, even if Ten Hag lost this weekend, he could still survive. If he pulled a bunch, it would be rough. So I agree with you. It'd be rough, Lee and Brett. But, get some players back after the international break and you go on a run, you could, you could survive. But psychologically, for Arsenal, you need to know you could beat the champions, because Arsenal is a very psychological team. Like, they collapsed psychologically last year towards the end of the season, and most of their wins, just period, are psychological. Like, they go on the field with this belief that they could beat these teams and overpower teams, and they go out there and they do it. So they have to believe and win doing what they believe in. So to go out there, and especially after they spent all that money, if they spend all that money on Declan Rice and the team that they got now, and then they lose to a team that didn't have De Bruyne and Rodri, it kind of will take away any belief that they could win the title. And winning the title is the top main thing for all the teams at that end of the table who finished last year. So I'm going to say Arsenal for that reason, that the win was more important for them because they just need that psychological advantage, knowing that if they face them again, we have a chance. And Arsenal has played good against Man City before and lost. So they needed to play against them and win, no matter how the game went. It wasn't the greatest game on both sides, but I did see City give up a little bit after Arsenal scored. And yeah, so I just think just Arsenal, just for, because we're all in this for the title, So
I think it was pretty big for them that they managed to do it without Saka as well.
Yes. Yeah, because Man City didn't have De Bruyne and they didn't have Rodri. A lot of commentators or pundits are making a big deal out of there's no Rodri, but that's how long De Bruyne ain't been around, that they forgot that he exists. And that if he was there, they could have won. But Arsenal needed to beat Man City without Rodri and without De Bruyne so that they can believe that they can beat Man City with them. And especially after spending all that money. So they just needed to win. So yeah. But also those guys being injured, and Spurs is where they're at the table because most of their starters play every week. Like, I know you had that injury with the guy from Forest that you just bought, but you just bought him. He came in the last day of the transfer window. He barely played for you guys anyway. But your starting 11 has pretty much been stable the entire season, even though you lost Harry Kane. So I got to give you credit for that. But that's how much injuries can affect a team's performance, like United's. So, and that's another thing that would have probably saved Ten Hag a little bit more if we had lost this week. But thank God we don't have to go 2 weeks with an L. But that's my opinion on that. What do you guys think about Jude? We talked about him a little bit last week. It's in La Liga, but he's an English player. Jude Bellingham.
Let me give my verdict, and then I have to go. I think he's on the way to become one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world. I think it could be between him and Mbappe at some point. Who is the best player? Who is carrying the torch after Ronaldo and Messi? It's absolutely sensational what he's doing. He's hitting all cylinders. And I remember when I've heard of him for the first time when he was 16 playing for FC Birmingham, and he was being called the legend at the age of 16. And now internet, of course, they try to sell you whatever they can sell you to boost likes and views. And sometimes there are some ridiculous judgments and points and people saying crazy stuff just to. You don't have to look far. You look on some pundits on ESPN. That's how they function, by saying crazy stuff. And but with Jude Bellingham wasn't crazy. He's a very, very special player, and every year he's becoming better. It's almost scary to think how good he can be during the World Cup. It's almost scary. And you know what? If he'll be that good, England can win the World Cup for the second time in the history, because you need a special player to win the World Cup. You need a top player.
I'm down with that. What do you guys think, Brett? Lee?
Yeah, I think one of the most impressive things is any player going from Germany to England or England to Spain, or anytime you switch a country like that, there's an adjustment period for learning how that game works in the new country. And this dude has just hit the ground running. Maybe that's Carlo Ancelotti's management style to help him, be good right away. But to be that young, he's 20 years old?
Mm-hmm.
And to be that good in his first season in La Liga, like with all the media scrutiny and such a huge market like Madrid is, I think it's fascinating to be able to keep your head on your shoulders like that. And I think as long as Gareth Southgate doesn't fuck it up, yes, England have a chance to win the World Cup. But I'm not sold on Gareth Southgate at all.
Hilarious. What do you think?
I just think it's incredible how he's sort of grown his game. Like I'm just looking at his stats in the Bundesliga. He scored the same amount of goals this season already in La Liga than he scored in the entire Bundesliga season last year. Last year he scored 8 goals in 31 games in the Bundesliga. He scored 8 goals in 8 games in La Liga this season. Season before that, he only scored 3 in 32 games in the Bundesliga. So it's crazy that he's 8 and 8 so far. And yeah, I mean, Brett alluded to like Ancelotti's management as well. Like he's playing him higher up the pitch. Like he's playing more of a 10 for Real Madrid, whereas he was like an 8 for Dortmund. So he's unleashed him a little bit in terms of he's seen something in him, you know, that his timing of arrival in the box and his finishing ability is more suited higher up the pitch. So credit to Ancelotti for that and realizing that would, you know, get good output from him. But yeah, he's only just turned 20 as well. He was 20 at like the end of June, which is insane that he's already played in like 2 major European divisions away from home, and grown every season. He's already, you know, been to a World Cup kind of thing. He's crammed in like a career's worth of experience almost, and he's only 20, which is insane. Like he's played championship football in England, which is a tough league to start in as a 16-year-old. Like it's a tough league for any player of any age because it's brutal, it's physical, it's a you know 46 game season, and he started off at that level. So yeah, it's like Martin said, he's a future Ballon d'Or winner, like without a shadow of a doubt. It might come quite soon in the future. It might take him a few years. Who knows? If he carries on the way he is this season, it could be next year. So it's just yeah, a really special talent. It's, you know, it makes me proud that, you know, a player like that has come out of the English sort of academy system. And I think it just shows the benefit as well of players going and playing abroad, and experiencing those different football cultures and different styles. Because I'm sure that's helped him. I mean, he was a special talent anyway when he came through at Birmingham. But
I want to hear your response on that. That's the only reason why I interrupted you. But doesn't it show also like how crazy it is that all those big teams in England slept on it? You know, that they let him leave England. It's such a huge talent.
United tried to buy him. United had a bid. United had a bid in there as well, but he wanted. I think his fear was that he wouldn't have played immediately at United, whereas Dortmund said, "We'll put you in the team." Whereas United didn't guarantee him anything.
That's a huge miss.
That's a huge.
Hindsight's easy though.
No, but credit to him for. So there's a lot of good players in the world, a lot of good young players. But on top of Jude being good and his jersey being retired at Birmingham at a young age, like he has confidence to make the right decisions and not to make panic decisions. Like any young player would be like, I want to play for United. I want to play for United. But the foresight to be like, if I go to United now, it'll actually stop my progress. And it's better if I go to a team in the Bundesliga where they'll play me, I'll get more experience and I'll grow. And then if I want to go to United or somewhere else later, I'll do that. Like, and then, you know what? You got to give Jadon Sancho some credit and also Erling Haaland. But let's say Jadon, because Jadon was one of the first English players to go abroad. And the first place he went was Borussia Dortmund. And that's when everybody started talking in England about Dortmund being like an outlet, or Germany for English players that wouldn't get to start if they stayed in England. So, and it's a good thing that Bellingham saw Jadon get a start there. He saw Haaland, you know, thriving there. And it's like, all right, that's where I'll go. I mean, in the future, I think Brighton Hove is the new Dortmund in the Premier League, and Dortmund will just get like free players there. Because this weekend, I'm watching Brighton Hove. I think they played Liverpool. And I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? They were playing one 18-year-old and another dude I never seen before, but they were acting like they've been in the Premier League 5 years. Adingra, like taking the ball off McAllister, intercepting a Van Dyke pass, slotting it past one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and then jumping back to his position. Let's go. And then that number 20, I forgot his name, but he was a CDM. Who the fuck is that guy? How dare he play like that? Like, that's crazy. But that's that Alex Ferguson shit. You know, it's like, play the kids. They'll run forever. And it's like, come on. If I had one conversation with Eric Tang had, I'd be like, play Gore and play Hannibal, man. Like, let them get better. Like, they'll run for you, bro. That is not, like, that's the only thing, you know, football has changed a lot, but one of the things that still is true, the kids will run for you. And Manchester United need running, and we got the kids that'll do that shit.
Just quickly going back to Dortmund a second as well, there's another English kid out there right now as well, Jamie Bino Gittens. He's 19 years old, so he's the next one on the production line of British players learning their trade at Dortmund.
Yeah,
he was a man. He's 19. He's an ex-Man City youth player as well. So following the Sancho path, he was he played for Man City's under 18s, and then he's gone to Dortmund.
Oh, that's dope. And has he started or played anything yet?
Yeah, he's played 22 games in the Bundesliga, 3 this season, and then some sort of late last season. He scored 3 goals for him in the Bundesliga last season. So yeah, he's young, and they're phasing him in.
And what's his position again?
He's a winger, I believe.
He's a winger?
Like, can play, left or right.
I've been meaning to watch Dortmund games because I want to see Adeyemi play. So it's just tough because I can see all the La Liga games and all the Bundesliga games, plus most of the Premier League games. It's tough to like fit a Dortmund in there. Plus, I want to see all the Real games.
So many hours on the weekend.
Thing. Yeah, it's only so much weekend. I wanted to ask Lee, so what's going on at Birmingham? And because I was talking to Lloyd today, and this is the reason why Birmingham, who is not in the Premier League, is important, is because Tom Brady is a part owner in the team, and they're trying to get Birmingham promoted so that they could get into the Premier League and start doing some Man City shit.
Yeah.
But what happened? Should this coach, who's presumably being fired and is going to be replaced by Wayne Rooney, should he have been fired?
No, not at all.
Recent, no.
Like their squad is all right this season, but it's not like, it's not a top squad. It's not, amazing. And he's got them 6th in the table. Like, they've been playing pretty well compared to the squad they've got. He's an intelligent manager. I think he could have built something there. But with the ownership group they've got now, they want the glitz and the glamour. They want a name. But there's no telling that Rooney will do well there. He did okay at Derby in a tough situation. They were obviously in administration and stuff, but he got some results there, but they still had a pretty good squad, even though they were in administration. That's why they were in administration. They were paying for players that they couldn't afford. And he didn't do that much there. And, he left DC United in the MLS because they didn't qualify for the playoffs. And he had a good squad at DC as well. Like, he had Benteke in there who, should have been a good player at MLS level.
Something happened to Benteke. I don't know. I don't know what, but something happened to Benteke.
But yeah, he didn't even get. And you've got to be bad to not make the playoffs in MLS, because a whole bunch of teams get in. Like, you need to be really bad. They're not quite as bad as my old team, Toronto FC, who finished rock bottom despite having the biggest wage bill in the league pre-Messi arriving. So they're terrible. But yeah, so he absolutely screwed it at DC, and then you know, he's failing upwards, which happens when you're a, you know, a legendary player. You can kind of get those jobs. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes, because it could, you know, it could work out for them. You know, the Rooney star power might pay off, but it's a gamble considering they fired a manager who was more than competent in the role. It's a strange situation, but I've seen it happen before. I remember when Southampton first got promoted back into the Premier League, we had a manager called Nigel Adkins, and he got us promoted from League One to the Championship to the Premier League. We'd played a few games in the Premier League. We'd had some okay results. We weren't in danger of relegation. We were like 12th in the league or something, or 13th. And the chairman fired him and brought in Poch. And the fans were going crazy. They're like, why are you doing this? You're bringing in a guy who, you know, hasn't really done much. He was a good player, but he hasn't really done much. And then he turned out to be one of our greatest ever managerial appointments. So that, you know, just because the fans are pissed that the guy's been fired, it doesn't mean that it's not going to work out with Rooney, but it is a gamble because, like I say, John Eustace is a good manager. He'll get another job fairly quickly in the Championship if he wants it, I think. But yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, but you know, they've got their reasons.
Brett, you're
Yeah.
Man United fan, which means you're a Rooney fan, but are you a fan of his coaching career? And do you agree with this obvious like star coach move?
I don't know. I think it's tough because of what happened at Derby with the administration and the points deduction. That was no fault of his. So we'll see. MLS is kind of a different beast. It doesn't mean he's, I don't know. It could work out. Like Lee was saying, it's really hard for really great players to become really great managers, though. I think Zinedine Zidane is kind of the exception to the rule there, where, you know, he was a Galactico and then immediately had Real Madrid playing extremely well. So I don't know that Rooney can do. Granted, it's not Real Madrid, it's Birmingham. It's a different beast fighting for the championship, for fighting for promotion. So we'll see. I don't know what kind of a budget they have. If bringing in Rooney is kind of a way for in the January transfer window to bring in maybe a few bigger names.
Yeah, you could have got better
Maybe
players
that's part of it as well.
for the coach that was already doing good. Spent that money on players instead of like replacing a coach who might not be a better coach. So
I mean, at this rate, Birmingham are rivals for Southampton in the playoffs and the promotion hunt. So I hope it crashes and burns.
Hilarious. I know.
Yeah.
And
Lee, I'd like to play devil's advocate, but I can't argue with the new ownership trying to go for a big name. That's just that's what new owners do. They want to play with their new toys and make it as cool as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like Tom Brady, even though I'm not I just like him. So I just want him to succeed in anything. And then I like him even more because he's into football. You know what I mean? Of all the things. And so I don't want people who know more about the sport to give him bad advice and let him sign off on it with one of our legends. So I hope this works out. Also, it's weird that they fired this coach because he just beat West Brom, which is a rival. And that's like extra points for beating a rival. And then you just fire the guy just for like a name. It's not just any name.
Yeah.
It's Wayne Rooney. But yeah, that's not, I don't think that's cool.
Yeah, they won their last two games 3-1 and 4-1. And then he got fired.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's cold-blooded, bro. Like, yeah, that's cold-blooded. They're treating him like he's a black coach. Jesus Christ. Another thing I wanted to just bring up and go through. Where did Chelsea get all them goals?
Sterling. Sterling was on fire in this game. He only scored one, but he made a couple of the other ones. He was looking, you know, like prime like 2021, 2022 Man City Sterling. You know, he was on fire. He was playing without fear in that game. Like he was just getting the ball and running at people. Like Burnley was sending 2 defenders over to him, and he was like, "No, I'm gonna beat both of you." Like he was
He's
just
like, no,
looking like he
send.
had.
He's like, no, send 3. You know what?
Literally,
Make
like
it 4.
he had that confidence and that swagger about him that I've not seen in a little while. You know, since he's been at Chelsea, he's looked a little bit hit and miss. Like he's not really, I don't know, he hadn't been sort of playing with that conviction. Whereas in this game, he was like, no, I'm making this happen. And it was great to see because, you know, he's another player who's fell out with Southgate in the England squad as well. So, you know, him playing well is a good headache as well for them to have.
No, I like it.
Yeah, you know where they didn't come from? Sorry.
No, I like
where
it.
they didn't come from was Enzo.
Say, the goals. I mean,
Yeah,
it doesn't have to come from Enzo. You know, what did he play?
he didn't assist
10?
either.
I mean, Enzo is a part of Chelsea's problem. I'm sure in the future he'll be a part of like why they win. But they just got these kids out here trying to do the like. Yeah, I believe in playing kids. Like I just said that. I don't want to contradict myself, but you got to have some adults supervision on the pitch with the kids. You know what I mean? Like you can't just have them out there with nobody that's been in these positions before in this league before. So I like Enzo. It is funny that they paid that much money for him and Caicedo, and Chelsea's been losing. That's been fun, especially when Manchester United's losing. I don't want somebody got to come down with us. You can't just be all up there hanging out, having a good time. But I'm happy for Sterling. And it's like, oh, so you're not going to call me up once, now twice? All right, Southgate, this is what time it is. So, you know, Sterling's just, I've always liked him since he was at Liverpool. And they came second that season. And then he went to Man City. And then Man City didn't have the right coaches. And then they finally got Pep. And then Pep turned him into a league winner several times. And you know, and he's been having a good season with Chelsea this year after a terrible season with Chelsea last year. It's just now that they're getting goals. But for a team that, you know, they're finally cashing in on their XG. Their XG be through the roof every game.
Yeah.
And they just put it on the wrong color on the roulette wheel and blow it. But you know, they cashing in on their XG, so good for them.
Yeah, I think a result like this was coming for them.
Mm-hmm. So England's going to play. England's going to play their first international game against Australia. So I want to ask who should play, because it's a friendly. The game after this is Italy, and they probably need to win it to go through. I think they could go through even if they don't win it and get a tie. But considering that he needs to win the next game, but he also needs to get some cohesion with the team together now so that they can win the next game, but also that this game is a friendly against Australia. Like, who should Southgate play? Now, one person I know he's going to play is Harry Maguire, because Harry Maguire needs the game time. You know what I mean? And Harry Maguire, mother already baked the shepherd's pies and gave it to Harry Maguire and told him to hand those to Southgate when he goes into camp, you know? Because because the only person who protects Harry Maguire more than Harry Maguire's mom is Gareth Southgate. But we know Harry Maguire is going to play. And I don't think Kane should play. I won't be shocked if he played, but I will be pissed if he plays. Like, rest him. Rest him. He knows how to play with these guys. Rest him. And so who do you guys think, based on who's on the England squad, should play?
I mean, I would give
Australia.
I agree with giving Kane a rest. Like, the guy plays a lot of football. And, you know, maybe bring him on for like the last 20 minutes or something. if you need to get him some minutes. But I think, you know, give one of the other guys a go. Like Ollie Watkins is in great form right now. You know, throw him in against Australia, because like the Italy game is big because we beat them at their place earlier on in the qualification tournament.
No, did we tie because Maguire messed it up?
I thought we beat them out there.
We were ahead 2-0.
Let me have a look, because obviously we beat Scotland.
I hope you're right.
In the friendly, we drew with Ukraine. We beat North Macedonia. We beat Malta. We beat Ukraine. We beat Italy 2-1.
Okay.
With 10 men.
Oh,
we had the red card as well.
Yeah. I think Maguire gave up that goal. So okay.
So yeah, you know, if we can get something out of this, then puts us in a really good position. So yeah, I mean, it's got to be the priority, which means that I would expect some rotation against Australia, because England Australia always has kind of sort of derby vibes to it, even in a friendly, because it's, you know, the ex colony kind of thing. And their players are always up for it. So there's a little bit of rivalry there. They're always more up for it than England are. Like, we don't particularly care that much. We only care about Australia in the cricket, and I don't care about cricket. So it's one of those ones. Whereas like in, you know, cricket and rugby are the sports where England Australia is a real rivalry. But in football, it's like they care about it. So yeah, I mean, I think we've got a good enough squad to put, you know, a rotated team out against them. And if Southgate doesn't think those players are good enough to start against Australia, then why are they in the squad? Why is there a squad if you're not going to utilize it and use those players? So I think it'll be interesting to see who he goes with. He's been known though for just wanting continuity. He's done that before, so it's it wouldn't surprise me if he does end up playing like Kane and Bellingham and people, because yeah, he's been there before with that. But I mean, let's just have a look at the
I'd personally like to see Calvin Phillips play, because it's the only time you're going to get to see Calvin Phillips play until the next England friendly.
Oh no, he'll play Phillips against Italy. Phillips is like the Maguire of his midfield. He loves him whether he's playing for his club or not.
Hilarious. Let's hope that's not true. I feel like Calvin Phillips should definitely play against Australia for sure. Who else you want to see, Brett? Or, you know, whoever wants to go first.
Sorry,
I want to see Bowen as well. Bowen and Watkins are the two I want to see.
Bowen, yes. Like,
yeah, he's been on fire for West Ham.
Yeah, it's funny. It's not even funny. Like, Bowen has just leveled up. Like, he's unlocked some shit. Like, his touches and just the way he's playing football is completely different than Bowen 2 years ago. Like, before he was showing the promise, but now he's living the promise. And it's how old is he?
I think he's like 25, 26 maybe.
Yeah, 26.
This is a new guy. So he's playing like they just bought him from a league for cheap. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
he's
just,
26.
Yeah, just David Moyes, period. Like, two of the teams in the Premier League that got rid of their best players, and they're at the top of the league or doing well. And one of them is West Ham. They had a tie this weekend, but it was a really good game against a really good team. That wasn't an easy 2-2. That was no guaranteed, you know. And then, you know, they got substitute, they got depth. They bringing us Kudus off the bench. And not only is he a good midfielder, but he scored with his left foot. So he's showing that, now not only do they have midfield depth, but now he's a scoring threat. And it's like, I just remember so many years of West Ham being an ugly watch. Like, when we couldn't play good, and then they couldn't play good, and then they had to play against each other, it was like somebody serving you cat piss and dog shit to eat. and now I'll watch this week. I think West Ham was playing at the same time as Liverpool and Brighton Hove, and I didn't know who to watch. Normally you just say, I'll just go watch the Liverpool game. But I wanted to see the West Ham game too, because that's how good they've been playing. So, and Moyes didn't quit like I suggested that he should in a strong letter towards him. I said, get out of there while you're ahead and you got this championship. And West Ham will always remember you as the guy that won them something. But man, he stayed, he lost his best player, and they leveled up. And not only did they buy good replacements, but Bowen, Ward-Prowse, yeah. Who else do you guys want to see?
Kudus played well in that game for West Ham as well. Just give him a shout out for scoring that winner. I mentioned obviously earlier that he was one of the players who left Ajax, and he's had like a little bit of a slow start at West Ham, but kind of like fully announced himself with that goal because he took it really well.
Yeah, man. Who else do you want to see play for England, Brett, this Australia day?
I think Ollie Watkins has played well enough at Villa to solidify himself a spot against Italy if he can play with Harry Kane, if they don't want to put Kane alone up top. So I'd like to see Jared Bowen paired up with Eddie Nketiah, because I got a soft spot for that guy. Nketiah, I think he's been through a lot of shit at Arsenal and really stuck with it, playing behind Oba, playing behind Gabriel Jesus, and now he's getting a shot. He's playing a little bit more. And sure, give him a shot against Australia. Why not?
Arsenal fans have no faith. They don't. They're funny, man. It's like I can tell Nketiah is going to be a good player. It just takes time. But Arsenal fans have no patience for that. And they judge him on his experience now. And that's who they believe he's going to be forever. And they're going to make the mistake one day of chasing him off. And he's going to go somewhere and become Nketiah. And they're going to be like, I can't believe we sold him. What a mismanagement. But you fans got no faith in this kid, man. None.
Yeah.
Zero. I hear them out there, defaming him like he's an adult player. Like relax, guys. Relax.
Yeah. Is there anybody you're looking at for the England squad?
Let me go look up the England squad. I was looking at it the other day. Like most of the names that you guys mentioned, right? I want to see play, but it's weird because if you play some of these people, right?
There's a lot of the regular names you'd see in there, though, like Foden, Grealish, Maddison, Rashford.
I want to see Trent in midfield. I want to see Trent. So he normally uses Trent, but Trent is officially an England midfielder. He ain't listed as a defender anymore. Plus, he can't get that job from Walker, so you might as well. Is Ben White in the squad?
No, Ben White didn't get cool.
I think that this thing is giving me its own squad. October. Let me see this update.
I quite want to see Colwill from Chelsea play in that game. He might even get a game at left back because Trippier can play there. If they move him, it's not his best position. He's a better right back, but Colwill's played there for Chelsea a couple of times.
It's hard to want to see defenders play.
I like Colwill though. He's good on the ball.
Yeah, it's not. It's unless it's Beckenbauer back there or some shit.
Also, he's from Southampton, Colwill as well. So I always wanted to do.
Oh, okay. You're upset Ward-Prowse ain't on there.
Oh, always. The fact that Henderson is in there and Ward-Prowse isn't is a disgrace.
Henderson has to play because he has to prove that he's not losing all his skills in the Saudi league. So people like you will calm down when he gets picked for Italy.
He was losing his skills before he went to the Saudi league. That's why he's in the Saudi league.
Yeah, he was just getting injured. He wasn't. He's breaking down. He's at the stage of his life where his skill ain't deteriorating, but his availability to be available is. I want to see Aaron Ramsdale in goal, so I want to see that.
Out of pity,
I think he's.
You can't get a game for Arsenal. Get a game for England.
Yeah, but him and Raya are better than Jordan Pickford. So I want to see that.
I don't know. England Jordan Pickford is a different Jordan Pickford than Everton Jordan Pickford.
Yeah, but I still think Ramsdale is better than him, and I'm just judging it on like league, you know. And I want to see Dunk. I want to see Lewis Dunk over Maguire, even though Maguire needs listen. I'm a Man U fan, so I should want to see Maguire in this game because he needs the game time because we ain't gonna give it to him.
Yep.
So I want to see him. I want to see Maguire and I want to see Dunk. I want to see Trent.
Lewis Dunk had a great game against PSG in the Champions League.
Yeah, man, that fucking header.
No, he didn't. That was Dan Burn.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Dan Burn. No, okay. Dunk plays, but Dunk scored this weekend, I think, too.
He scored against Liverpool.
Yeah.
So, sorry. You're right. I'm thinking of Dan Burn.
So why didn't Dan Burn get called up? Because he's expert. Why didn't Dan Burn get called up? He's good too.
I mean, I don't know. They just don't like his style, maybe.
How good he is.
Yeah. I mean, he played in a 4-1 win against PSG. That should be, he played in the team that qualified for the Champions League last year, and he's English, so there's a very good argument for him being in there. I'd say certainly over Maguire, because a lot of the centre backs we called up, you can kind of understand why they're in there. Like Stones is in there because he's good on the ball and he's playing for a top club.
And he won the treble.
Yeah, Tomori's really consistent for AC Milan. He's a Serie A winner. He's got good experience in there. Dunk is Brighton's captain. He's good on the ball. He's playing in a team that's playing really well. Colville's like, the new talent at centre back. I'd say maybe Dan Burn has got a case over Gueye, because Gueye's solid, but he's probably the weakest out of the group. I feel like
Dan Burn is better. Yeah, I feel like Dan Burn's better than Gueye. Yeah.
Dan Burn can also play at fullback, even though he's not sort of your archetypal fullback. He has played there quite a bit for Newcastle.
I'll tell you what I don't want to see. I don't want to see Maddison and Bellingham on the field at the same time in each other's space. It's one or the other. It's like let each of them have their own time to shine. You know what I mean? As a 10, as opposed to 2 10s running in the same space. I don't think that works. It didn't work the last time. Maybe they need more practice with it, but maybe they have a better understanding of being 2 10s now. But I didn't like it the last time. So I think I do want to see some Conor Gallagher. He's been great for Chelsea. He's turned it around, and he not only is one of the last Chelsea youth players standing. He's captained Chelsea a bunch of times, and he's becoming a mainstay on the English squad. So good for him.
Yeah.
And let me see if there's anything else before we go. Any topics, guys, we didn't cover for this international break episode?
Pretty much, we got the main things.
Yeah, we got the main things. And Brett, how long you in England?
Until this weekend. Then I'm going to Brussels, and then to Germany.
Holy shit!
You doing shows in any of these places?
In Germany, yeah, and then after that, I'm going to Spain. And I'm gonna do shows in Barcelona.
Oh, nice! Yeah, I know some of the guys in Barcelona. It's a nice little scene out there.
Yeah.
Where We can talk after this. I can ask you about some places because I've got some contacts if you need them.
You guys, do you
Oh
guys
yeah, that'd be great.
contact
And let
each
me
other
know
in
where
the
you're
chat
back
yet?
this week.
Did you guys contact each other in the chat yet?
No.
Oh no.
Yeah, you guys want to do it now? I'll give each other information, and I could also put Brett's info in the group chat too.
I know.
Yeah,
I can find him online.
Yeah, that's dope. What are you on, a honeymoon for yourself?
Yeah, basically broke up with my girlfriend, quit my job, and just decided to fuck off for 3 months.
Oh shit, a reverse honeymoon. I like this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be gone
Brett
till
got his
December.
groove back. You gone till
Yeah.
December? Where did you work, bro?
Huh?
Or
I
how
was a
much money
teacher.
are you How much money are you saving from being single now? How
Saving a lot of
expensive
money.
was your girlfriend? Jesus Christ.
Subletted my apartment, sold my car. That's the big thing.
Oh
Sold the
man,
car.
you sold the car. All right, hey man, live it up, baby. Live it up.
Yeah, thanks.
Enjoy. Sounds great. Are you going to try to go to other football games in those other countries?
Yeah, I actually got to see a women's match when I was in Dublin. I got to see the Nations League match between Ireland and Northern Ireland at the Aviva Stadium, which was pretty cool. There was like a record attendance for that match, like close to 40,000 people. And then I don't know about Germany yet. I'd like to go see some matches there, but we'll see.
Are you in
if I can get my
Berlin?
hands on them. Yeah, I'll be in Berlin and Munich most of the time.
Because I mean, Union Berlin is almost impossible to get tickets for. Their stadium's really small, and they've got a bunch of like members who snap up all the tickets. It's quite hard. But Hertha Berlin play in the old Olympic Stadium, and they're currently in the second division. They got relegated, but it's just a cool stadium to go to. I went to a game there when I was doing shows in Berlin, and it's like it's because it's the old Olympic Stadium from like the 30s. You can see like Jesse Owens' name up on the the honor wall and stuff. They got like the Olympic flame there and stuff. It's a cool place to go. But when I was there, it holds like 80,000, and when I went and watched them, they had like 30,000 fans. It was kind of rattling around a little bit, but it's still a fun experience.
What's that thing?
That sounds awesome.
What's that thing they do to get people into comedy clubs?
Paper the room.
Barking?
Barking. Are they like barking outside the stadium as people walk by to get them to come in? You want to see a soccer game? Come on in.
You want to see a bad game?
It's going to be bad, but it's free. What do you want? You want to see a game or just
exactly.
keep walking? Yeah. Go by there, man. Swing by. That's crazy. I've been looking up a lot of like World War II stuff. So Hitler was at that stadium. The Jesse Owens won in that stadium.
Yeah, he said a big fuck you to him.
Like Jesse Owens destroyed the master race theory in that stadium.
Yeah, it's historic.
In a race.
In a race, a couple of races. I think he won more than one gold at Olympics. So, yeah.
Although I'm just looking here, they played St. Pauli in their last home game. They got 66,000 fans in for it. So,
oh shit.
There were some people showing up. Some games.
I think you could get in for some canned goods. So you should go.
I mean, I just looked at there's another game they played Greuther Fürth, and they had like only 35,000 in. So there'll be tickets. There'll be tickets.
Yeah. So
so do you think if I just show up in Lederhosen, they'll just let me walk through?
Not in Berlin. In Munich, they might.
Yeah, wear the right outfit, bro. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, it's a good point.
All right, guys. Brett, thanks for coming on. And
thanks so much for having me.
Pleasure, man. Good shit. You know your shit, and it's good to hear about your experience. Lee, great to have you as normal. Normally, I ask you about Southampton and how they done, but I wanted to hear about what it was like in those 3 matches in Holland. Did Southampton win? by the
No,
way?
we drew 1-1 with the worst team in the league. We were 1-0 up at home. We were missing chance after chance after chance. We should have buried them. And then they hit us with a sucker punch goal, finished 1-1. But we didn't lose, so I guess there is that.
Yeah, it's something. You got a point. Well, thank you guys for joining. Great job again. Everybody out there, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Take care of each other. I know life gets rough, and sometimes, hey man, the reason why life is tough is so that we can like test the extent of our love. You know what I mean? Like, this shit is about love. Life is about love. And sometimes love got to be tested to see, so you can realize just how much love you have to give. So let's think about that. And let's think about football. Let's have a good international break. And I'll see y'all next week. One. Stop it.